marketing yourself or your business, one of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal is social media. But sometimes creating and posting quality content can seem like a job in itself. Meghan Rothschild, president of Chick Media and professor at Springfield College, joins me now to talk about best practices for social media. Hi, Meghan.
Hello, Alana. How are you?
I am wonderful, and I often think, while I'm scrolling through my phone and all these fabulous influencers, that they make it look so easy, but I imagine there is so much planning involved. Can you tell me, Meghan, why is planning so important?
Planning is important because we can't be passive anymore about social media, right? So when social media first came out, it was not even a tool for businesses. It was mostly just a way for people to connect with one another. And it's really evolved into something that is more strategic, and you have to be a bit more intentional with it because you're competing with a lot of people who are on the platform and a lot of businesses who are trying to get the attention of the consumer. So having a little bit of a strategy and some plan involved is what I would highly recommend.
Okay, Meghan, I'm glad that you brought up strategy and planning because a lot of people use these things called content calendars. I'm wondering if you can explain to me what this is.
Yeah, so a content calendar can be anything from, my recommendation is 2 weeks to maybe even 2 months out, and it can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet, right? So we don't need to get super fancy with our software. We can set up an Excel spreadsheet to actually look like the calendar of the month and plug in the types of posts that we're going to make throughout that time period. And the reason why this is important is because social media takes a lot of time. In fact, some of the posts that I do, I sit for 30 to 45 minutes writing that content, staging the photo. So if you have it planned out and mapped out at least 2 weeks in advance, and you already sort of know, some people even go as far as to actually write the content in advance, this is going to make the whole plan of doing social media, the whole cumbersome thing that you have to do every day, it's going to make it that much easier if you have that plan in place.
And I think that's a good suggestion to do it like every 2 weeks. That way you're not too overwhelmed or looking too far into the future, right?
Yeah, I think it's important to have that sort of day of vibe on your social media too. So it's good to have a plan. It's good to know what you're going to do for your hard posts. But now we have things like stories. On Facebook, we can do multiple posts a day. So you want to have a plan, but you want to leave space for that spontaneity of posts as well.
What about reserving time for photo and video shoots? Now, it makes the appearance look all very spontaneous, as you said, or day of. But I imagine there are photo shoots that take, bunch of photos at once for people who are scheduling a lot of content. How does that work?
That's what we always recommend to people. So if you're going to make time to do your hair, your makeup, to get your props all ready, to pick a location, in some cases even hire a professional photographer, plan to shoot at least a few months worth of content when you're there with that individual or you've set that time aside. So that means swapping out your outfits that you're wearing, swapping out those props, coming up with different scenes that communicate what your business is and what it is that you do and you're an expert in. But I think you have to set aside time to do this because otherwise stuff just starts to look a little bit sloppy. And we know on social media there's a fine line between being authentic and true to yourself, but also putting your best foot forward and giving your most professional look when you're posting.
Yeah, I think that's an important combination when you're thinking about social media because that genuineness really resonates with people. People like it.
They do. They like that vulnerability. They like that authenticity. We're seeing a big push right now for people to be more vulnerable and more raw in their posts. And I think that's great. But you still have to think about what you're posting. You still have to stage that look. You still have to take that picture that's really reflective of the important message you're trying to communicate to people.
Meghan, what about using apps to pre-schedule content?
Absolutely, that's a great trick. There's apps out there. There's one called Hootsuite that actually allows you to schedule multiple platforms at once. A lot of people don't know this, but if you have a Facebook business page and an Instagram business page that are linked, you can actually schedule both your Facebook and your Instagram posts through the ads manager on Facebook. So a lot of people were complaining because Instagram didn't allow you to pre-schedule posts, but you can now do that through the use of Facebook. You actually don't even need to download a third-party app.
Well, that is certainly makes it a lot easier for individuals. Now, you were mentioning before when you take photos, you can take a whole bunch. Sometimes you might need to hire a professional. When do you know it's time to call in that professional photographer?
I think when you maybe don't have a very good phone, or you just can't get the lighting right, or every time you take photos, it's just not resonating, it's not looking like your best self, that's when you know you need to bring a professional in. And why not invest the money in that? It's going to be one of the best returns you get for your business. Marketing, social media, all of that is so critically important. You really do want to look professional and buttoned up on those platforms.
You certainly do. Meghan Rothschild, president of Chick Media, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.